What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video. And today I've been grinding out these reports on edge rushers, watching a lot of tape on them. And today I have for you a top 10, it's actually top 11 list, giving you guys the top 11 edge rushers in the 2023 NFL draft class. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Yes, of course, this is way too early, but this is all actually based off of deep dive. This is not something where we're kind of just going off of a surface level of what we kind of know already. So there's going to be some surprises in this list. There's guys who are listed in the first round of some people who I respect a lot, who I don't even have on this list. There are people who are going to be going batshit crazy at the fact that number one spot is not exactly what you think it's going to be. So let's kick right into the video. All right. So starting off with number 1A, Myles Murphy, the guy who graded out number one overall, but there's just I'll explain it when I get to the obvious guy who's pretty much number one on everyone's board. Myles Murphy was ridiculous. So I was talking to Broshma. I actually watched Myles Murphy last night, and I was like, dude, honestly, from what I've seen, he's not someone who just pops off like from when you're just watching other players, somebody who's like Milton Williams. When I was watching like even Zach Wilson tape, he popped off. I saw him out of nowhere. Didn't see Myles Murphy because he's not a super duper athlete. I was totally wrong. This might be the best edge rusher I've ever seen. So he is just so well balanced. And I'm going to be posting all this stuff in time on my website. Link in the description. I have 3-minute read scouting reports, tells you the good, the bad, and the ugly, as well as my overall thoughts. And then it shows you my full grading scale and exactly what I gave them. So you guys don't get to exactly have to worry about me putting some funny business into this draft grade. This is an actually calculated draft grade. But Myles Murphy was so well balanced, and he got a 14.5 out of 15 in run defense. And some of these stupid sites, some of which I used to work for, end up wanting to just continually artificially inflate these numbers. I have 5 out of 10 as an average grade, which is 7.5 out of 15 if you guys haven't caught along. So that is essentially in that GOAT tier, like super hyper elite. I've never seen somebody play the run as well as Myles Murphy. And there's just this unbelievable power that he possesses. You see it impact in all caps. You guys will see that throughout the video. I'll mention impact a lot. Similar to the way I talked about momentum with running backs, when I see a defender push back an offensive lineman, you actually like when they collide, you see the offensive lineman take the impact and not the defender. That's what I mean by impact. Like, even when you're losing, you're still causing an effect on the pocket, an effect on the play, an effect on the player in front of you. And Myles Murphy is the definition of it. I gave him a 10 out of 10. I just said, screw it. I was literally like, I'll give him 9.5. Like, no, I can't. I've never seen somebody of this caliber. And somebody can go and replace that 10, and then in the future, we can downgrade it. Who cares? What I'm saying is this guy is unbelievable. In the run game, stellar. As a pass rusher, really freaking solid. And he is just so strong. He's extremely polished. He has a full toolkit. He's not like, I mean, I wouldn't say he's like Isaiah Foskey level of athlete, right? But he's a damn good one. Like, he's still a really good one. And like, I'll talk about this a lot. Length usage. So a lot of people just, you can give every single edge rusher the ability to use length because a lot of them actually hit with their arms straight out. But something that's unique about Myles Murphy that I'll talk about soon with Andre Carter is when you have your arms extended, can you keep them extended? Because it's great if you get to make first contact, but if your arm immediately collapses in, you're already into the offensive lineman's range. But Myles Murphy holds a guy at full range. It is unbelievable. This guy is an ungodly talent. I literally think he's better than Aiden Hutchinson. He reminds me so much of him, that balance, that finesse, but also that pure power and really solid athlete overall. I really do think that he's even better. He might be my number one player in the draft. Ridiculous talent. And look at his size, 6'5", 275. He can literally play anywhere. So like, you're not going to see him be like number 1B and be the most bendy guy in the world, but that draft grade is the highest I've ever given to an edge rusher. I think a team like the Bears that might not want to go after someone like Jackson Smith and Jigba in the top 5 could be perfectly happy getting somebody to replace Khalil Mack's vacancy, because this guy's going to be the commander of your defense probably for a good 15 to 20 years. But of course, Will Anderson Jr., I already know we have some of his fans down in the comment section below. The team projections more for fun, guys. It's not like a legitimate, hey, this is what I think will happen. That's more for the mock drafts, but this is just playing around with some ideas here. We'll talk about it in a minute. But Will Anderson is just, he scored lower, but I could not put him at number 2. So my issue with Will Anderson is consistency. So watch the first half of Texas A&M versus Alabama. In that first quarter, like you'll see a dichotomy. Like it's 2 different players playing because Will Anderson sucks in the first quarter. I was like, oh no, I was going to be that guy who didn't put him in my first round. He turned it on by the end of the game. I watched Mississippi State. He turned it on. Watched Auburn. He turned it on. Okay. So he is really good, but there is that inconsistency there. I feel very similar to Kayvon Thibodeau when I watched him, but a hell of a lot better. Like legitimately, Broshman and I were talking about this. These top 2 are better than this past year's. But the weird thing is they're both very similar, but just better than both of the top guys. So huge fan of both these guys. I mean, Will Anderson is a god as a pass rusher. He does a really damn good job in the run as well. It can get turned sometimes, but again, that's like a really big nitpick. Obviously, I think he's the most polished guy in the class. I gave him, I believe, a 9.5 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 in his polish. Guy is just, you can't get much better. Yeah, I mean, since I started studying the draft, I've never seen somebody get that low and have that type of bend. Kayvon Thibodeau gets close because obviously that was one of his best assets. You know, Will Anderson still, even at his size, creates amazing impact. I still think he could put on a little bit more because he's a really solid athlete. But I mean, again, this guy's an absolute stud. We all knew this. I don't need to waste a lot of time on this. But again, sometimes he gets like zoned into the block and doesn't exactly know what the play is going on. So we're really nitpicking here because both these guys are absolute studs. You'll see in the draft grade, there's going to be a drop off. Obviously, I think Will Anderson will probably be the number 1 pick unless it's a quarterback, which then the first team that's not picking a quarterback will probably go Will Anderson because, again, he is that dude. I just fell in love with Myles Murphy. But a team like the Seahawks, that you have a second first-round pick, it is possible for you to be able to use that other one on a quarterback. Let's just say Anthony Richardson does really well this year, but some teams are still feeling really iffy on him. That's where you can take him with that second pick. You guys know what I mean. I think that would be the best return on your investment. Number 3, we got Andre Carter. Yes, because 1A, 1B counts kind of 1-2. Andre Carter was a big shock to me. I was roasting the shit out of like people loving Andre Carter because honestly, you can't tell like half of the time which dude is which on Army because again, like their jerseys say Army on them. But you know, I started watching him. Thank God for all 22 tape. It would be a nightmare without it. He is phenomenal. He is absolutely phenomenal. My only issue with him is that he plays a very specific scheme, and you'll see the Jets in there, and you'll see a first-round grade. It's like another first-rounder. I don't know if he exactly reaches that because of that scheme specificity. He very well might fall to the mid-second, so rather than the mid-first. That could end up being a prime opportunity for the Jets, who do run wide 9 from time to time, to be able to scoop him up. He's just very scheme-specific. You'll see. If you guys don't know what wide 9 is, you're basically lining really freaking far outside the tackle. So rather than like, here's the tackle, here's the edge rusher, and this is your normal approach, you're out here. So you have a really interesting line to the quarterback. It really messes up tackles on their angles. And I mean, given Andre Carter's athleticism, it was pretty apparent. And he is really powerful too. Like you see him transition. 6'7" is really tall. 260 isn't exactly the biggest frame. So I think it's a very similar comparison frame wise to what we see in Will Anderson. But I mean, he's still, again, top tier athlete, has that total, like, boom, you see him touch the lineman is moving. So big fan of Andre Carter. Again, I mean, obviously he's in our military. So again, thank him for putting his life on the line for the country. But even in the game, he's playing with one hell of a motor, and that get off is ridiculous. So again, the only issues are that wide 9. Like I saw him actually one rep. I saw him in a normal 5 tech, and he balled the fuck out. Like he looked really good. So that gave me more confidence in him. However, that's not consistent. But also he doesn't really play against very much NFL tier talent. So hopefully we get to see some more tape of him. Maybe he can go up against a more talented offensive line this coming year. We'll see. And again, I mean, in general, Army's not going to train you to be a super high football IQ type of defender. But again, that will come in time. Again, the Jets just scheme specificity. Will McDonald was a huge surprise. So again, caps off to Broshma. He was the first guy I watched, honestly, of this edge class. And I was blown away. I didn't really think of it very much, but he is an outstanding pass rusher, like really top tier. And honestly, he's super talented as a run defender too. He is in that upper echelon. So super well balanced. He is already pretty damn polished. As somebody who has played with Kayvon Thibodeau, he went to my high school, got to play with him. I'm pretty sure that I know what I'm talking about when I say this guy's like the Walmart version of Kayvon Thibodeau. Like if you miss out, so I said Will Anderson's like the better version. So there's a big gap, obviously. I'm not saying that it's like this. It's not saying like, oh, Will Anderson, KT, Will McDonald. I'm saying it's like Will Anderson, KT, Will McDonald. Like there's sizable difference there. But some of the traits are just like shades of. That's why I like to use when I do my comparisons. I say shades of, but he really does remind me a lot of him. Problem is he is kind of old and he doesn't always move the lineman when he hits them. That's my only issue really with him. Again, super talented athlete overall. Big surprise because I was about to say like, dude, this guy's going to be cheeks. And he wasn't. He was really damn phenomenal. And that's something that if you guys are new to the channel, you guys will understand that I'm not afraid to say I'm wrong. I'd much rather fall in love with a player that I didn't like than just be arrogant and stick up to my opinion, because I love good football and I would be absolutely happy to be proven wrong on a lot of these players. I'm sure some of you will be getting on me in the comment section. Number 5, we got ZTF, Zion Tupuola-Fetui, or Tupuola-Fetui out of Washington. Yeah, I mean, this guy just needs to get some experience going. He needs to get some comfortability with his body because I know he had that injury, as well as that confidence to just go at it. But my God, he is powerful. You see him swatting guys with his arms. Like he has some good traits, man. Like big fan of what he could be. And I'm excited to see him have a consistent year this year. Knock on wood, it ends up being able to stay healthy and be able to progress that way. So ZTF, a ton of talent there. But I mean, you see him, he's able to move offensive linemen pretty damn easily. I mean, he is 260 pounds at 6'4". Like that's a big ass dude. And he's really solid overall. I'm again, huge fan of him. I think a team, if Matt Rule ends up actually like staying, he could probably bring on ZTF and continue to develop him. Obviously the Panthers, I have a lot of faith in their ability to develop defense. And ZTF would be a perfect steal for them where they don't exactly need it, but he would never be a bad addition. Number 6, Derick Hall. Big fan of Derick Hall. Always have been. You obviously know from my videos that I've been a huge fan of him, but he wasn't really special the way I was hoping for. Like the way he popped off on tape was special when I was watching other players. So his highlight tape is special, but he didn't really master anything. You look at Will McDonald and his ability to play at a high level at both pass and run. Derick Hall can do that at a lower level. Like he's like mid-tier. I'm not going to say he's mid because he's actually a really good player, but he's not like he is NFL caliber. But after you reach that threshold, he's the middle tier of the NFL caliber. So again, I think a guy like a team like the Bucks, where he wouldn't exactly be the focal point of the defense, would be a great spot for him to go. Again, he also, like even against Evan Neal and stuff, he's able to create some crazy impact. So big fan of that. Also flashes the bend right there. So Derick Hall, overall, really solid player. Number 7, BJ Ojulari. Yeah, no, this guy can definitely boost his ratings overall as long as he ends up just knowing where to go. He has a lot of poor identifications. So awareness and IQ is essentially the exact same thing. I just try to keep it up a little bit fresh so you guys don't get rinse, wash, repeat. But like if he's able to do that, maybe be a little bit more effective in the run game, a little bit more aggressive, then he's probably going to be jumping up this list because he's a very damn good athlete and he's really polished for, you know, how poor he performs in half of the game. Like he actually knows what he's doing. So I'm excited to see what he can become. But for right now, top 40 seems like a safe bet to project him to. A team like the Dolphins, again, you don't need to be the focal point. You have time to develop, and it's a super high ceiling. A team that has been notorious for being able to develop edge talent. I will say, again, not like you're under new leadership. It's not under Flores, but I mean, you see how the 49ers are able to continue churning out edge talent. So we'll see. We'll see. It's just a fun idea. Number 8, Xavier Thomas. Yes, I did not expect to put him on this list. I did not, but he's really good. He is. He's a very good pass rusher and run stuffer. He good build as well, 6'2", 265, very similar to a Myles Murphy style. Because obviously Myles Murphy is 3 inches taller with 10 pounds on him, but Xavier Thomas is built very well. He doesn't look 265 the way like Myles Murphy probably has a little bit of a worse body comp than Xavier, because we all know Xavier Thomas coming out of high school was one of the top recruits, if not the top, and he was a freak athlete. I just remember seeing all these hype train videos for him after I think it was the Odell Beckham Jr. trade draft. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while, obviously, but Xavier Thomas is just ridiculous. I think it was after Cleveland Furl left. Yeah. So like I remember saying the next great Clemson pass rusher is Xavier Thomas. And I mean, he still has it. He does. He's had a little bit of a rocky road, but I think that he can pick it back up again. You have Myles Murphy on the other side. So I think that's going to be great. Again, we all know that he's going to be a great athlete. Nonetheless, I do think he'll end up going maybe in the top 64, worst case scenario, 3rd round, but I do think he's going to light up that combine. And again, when you light up the combine, a lot of times people start buying into that hype and they start rewatching the tape and then thinking, okay, well, we see some things that are positive. We also know he's a great athlete. A team like the Steelers, where again, developing defensive line talent is just their thing, pairing him up with DeMarvin Leal, who's developing, again, that would be really good. Put him under Cam Hayward. That would be probably a nice addition. Again, it's just a fun idea. Don't take it too seriously. Number 9, Durell Nchami. Apparently the N is silent. Whatever. That's a great build, by the way. 6'4", 260. This guy looks and moves like he's like 230 pounds. So big fan of him. He definitely is able to, like, I wish that he impacted the line better, but his talent for how raw he is honestly through the roof. So big fan of this guy. Like he was, okay, I lied. This is the first guy I watched. Then I watched Will McDonald. So, okay, 2 entirely different styles of player. Durell Nchami is more of that, like, it's hard to explain at the moment, but I do think that a team like the Baltimore Ravens, where you can continue using him in a rotation, is going to be phenomenal. Super raw. I think that you'd probably want to use him on the outside, but you see those flashes, man. You see them, and there's a lot of hype on this guy. So watch out, because if he continues to progress, he will be taking that step up in a lot of people's mock drafts. You might see him in the 1st round. I don't think so, but I do think he'll blow up the combine. And if that's the case, again, we see these guys who are combine freaks rise up the board. Unfortunately, there's like no tape on him as a run defender. There's like, he just doesn't really play the run very well. And again, for his size, he should be impacting the offensive line a little bit better. And again, he is raw. I will say, I think the impact could definitely go up as long as he starts getting more comfortable. And I think that will come with time, because again, when you're accepting the contact, the understanding that you're going to make contact, there's a different mentality to when you make contact with an offensive lineman. And I think that Nchami is going to be getting there. I think he will. And he's going to shoot up boards. People are talking about Foskey. Durell Nchami is another guy. He's the under the radar version of what Foskey is. Number 10, you got Brenton Cox. He's just a solid dude. Again, there's nothing special about him, but he's ready to step in day one. Team like the Patriots that just might want to continue being like efficient enough. Bill Belichick, he pretty much is Moneyball with the value of his players. Brenton Cox would be a great guy to step in there. Again, you guys can read all this stuff. Everybody knows Cox at this point. He's like, we've been studying him for the past couple of years, and I'm excited for him to finally come out. I think, again, a team that's just looking for that day 1 plug, which is day 3 grade, is exactly what you're looking for. And to end this off, y'all are probably wondering where the hell this guy is, or you've never even heard of him. It's one of the two. It is Felix Anudike-Uzomah. I'm sounding like Broshma right now. I can't even pronounce names. Yeah, it's Felix Anudike-Uzomah out of K-State. This guy's getting first round hype a lot. A lot of people have him in their top 20. I think that he'll end up in the third round. He just doesn't really pop off to me as like superior NFL talent. There's some flashes on tape for sure, but I do worry because you just can tell when someone has an it factor and he just doesn't have it. I would be very happy to be proven wrong again. He has a very high amount of pressures, and statistically, he is very talented. And again, he has a really good frame, 6'3", 255. But he just, again, kind of like he's just not surprising in anything. And in the NFL, the bar is starting to be risen so highly. Again, there's these athletes, these superior athletes that are being taken above these guys because of the fact that, they're like, okay, well, we're going to be able to make this work. We have the athletic frame. We can train the rest. Felix doesn't really have that. And he has poor awareness on the field. He doesn't ID very well, gets absorbed into blocks, doesn't really understand like exactly where the play is going. That could be fixed in time. So this definitely, I have him actually graded out right now as like a 5th rounder, 64.5. The grade doesn't exactly matter. The grade is just a general idea of where they'll end up being. I think he is a potential future rotational starter, but that might be towards the end of his first contract. You guys are probably wondering where Foskey is. Didn't like him. I think that he has like all the makings to eventually develop, but I really want to see that strength boost up. And I really want to see him actually just be better at pass rushing and run defense. Like as a defender, he needs to improve. So that pushed him down the board. And I think he was probably like 13 or something, which is unfortunate. I know a lot of people have him up very high. I do think that if he's able to do that, he can easily be in that first round conversation. And I'm excited to see him get there. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.